Welcome to the AIP channel where anything is possible. We'll talk about anything and everything. So we're going to do a cryptid. We'll do a couple cryptid videos in a row. Tonight is the Mothman. What I seen something talk about it. It was like one of the two famous things West Virginia's famous for: John Denver and the Mothman, and that's about it. I got it on the news article from the next day after the original sighting of the Mothman. For the ones that can see it on the screen, on November 15th, 1966, in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Millette reported a large flying man with 10-foot wings and glowing red eyes when they were driving along State Route 62, just north of Point Pleasant. They saw a menacing figure standing 6 foot to 7 foot tall near an abandoned National Guard Armory building and power plant. Says Roger Scarberry immediately sped away from the large gray creature while making their way to Point Pleasant while the cryptid followed. Said when they arrived in Point Pleasant, they reported a strange sighting to the police, stating the thing rose up like a helicopter. Those saying it was a clumsy runner, excelled in gliding, especially in keeping pace. He said even as the car reached 100 miles an hour. They said the couple had seen this bizarre creature dubbed the Mothman in the TNT area. It's called a TNT area because in World War II, that region comprised more than 8,000 acres devoted to an ammunition facility, employed a few thousand people at its peak. For safety reasons, explosives were stored in bunkers strategically scattered across the territory and disguised as a thick layer of earth. After the war, the facility and the area were mostly abandoned by the military, partly covered into wildlife management area and partly a landfill. The Point Pleasant Register reported an unusual sighting on November 16, 1966. You can see in the picture, that's the news article, titled Couple See Man-Sized Bird, Creature, Something. The national press soon picked up the reports and helped spread the story across the United States. Said more reports were made in the next few days. 2 volunteer firemen who saw it said it was a large bird with red eyes. When the contractor Newell Partridge saw the cryptid and aimed a flashlight at the creature in a nearby field, he said the eyes glowed like bicycle reflectors. Mason County Sheriff George Johnson commented that he believed the sightings were due to an unusually large heron he called a shitepoke. Wildlife biologist Robert L. Smith, a wildlife and biologist at the West Virginia University, told reporters that descriptions and sightings fit the sandhill crane, a large American crane almost as tall as a man with 7-foot wingspan, featuring circles of reddish color around the eyes. Because this crane is not native to the region, he hypothesized that the bird may have wandered out of its migration route. Good possibility, You gotta, times, there is a normal explanation for what's going on for sure. The following year, people continued to see the mysterious Mothman around Point Pleasant and slowly moving outward. Eventually, there was Mothman sightings in other places in the United States and even Russia. It is estimated 100 reports. Some claim sightings connected with UFOs. Others claim that a military storage site was Mothman's home. According to competing theories, Mothman emerged from either the depths of hell or the upper echelons of space. Above or below? Above or below? I don't know. Others said the Mothman attacked the roofs of parked cars, lurked outside homes, chased cars, and stole pet dogs. The sighting continued until the Silver Bridge carrying U.S. Route 35 over the Ohio River between Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and Gallipolis, Ohio, collapsed on December 15, 1967. Collapsing under the weight of the rush hour traffic, 46 people were killed. Damn. The bridge was carrying much heavier loads than it was originally been designed for. and they had really didn't maintain them, which gets you back a fun story in the middle of our little discussion here. I was riding through the country just a little bit ago, and then I seen out poking out the sides of the asphalt was that wooden, knowing I was driving across a wooden bridge. It's like, well, hopefully it holds up 2 more times because I got to come back through here in a little bit, which it did. But yeah, if you pay attention, there's a lot of old wooden bridges and stuff still out in these old country roads and middle of damn nowhere. Scary to think about sometimes. Said the collapse was caused by a failure of a single eye bar in a suspension chain. However, afterwards, people began to claim that they seen the Mothman standing on the bridge the day before. Possibly a bad omen of the disaster to come. It says the Mothman was introduced to a broader audience by Gray Barker in 1970 when he linked the collapse of the Silver Bridge to the Mothman. It was later popularized by John Keel in his 1975 book, The Mothman Prophecies, claiming that there was supernatural events related to the sightings and a connection to the collapse of the Silver Bridge. The book was later adapted into a 2002 film starring Richard Gere, which launched the Mothman and Point Pleasant onto the national stage. Said Jeff Wamsey, a Point Pleasant native who grew up listening to the Mothman stories, released 2 books on the subject. Mothman, Facts Behind the Legend in 2001, and Mothman Behind the Red Eyes in 2005. In 2006, opened the Mothman Museum to showcase its symbols, all his material, including police reports and eyewitness accounts from all the sightings. I think the Mothman story is timeless. It has never been fully solved or proven as to what these people have seen. Jeff said. He said, in addition to the museum, Point Pleasant hosts an annual Mothman Festival on the third weekend in September, commemorating the visit of the mysterious entity known as the Mothman. The festival features guests and speakers, live bands, vendors, pictures of the Mothman statue, TNT bus tours, and more. Embracing the legend, the annual Mothman Festival draws in more tourists than the town's population. I don't doubt that one bit. So what do you think about the Mothman? Do you think he's real? Do you think he's an angel, demon, alien? Could be a little mixture. I don't know. All these different cryptids, and if you look, and you can see like each state has a bunch of cryptids inside their own state. Others don't have. It's pretty interesting. So that's why I wanted to do a little dive down these little cryptids and stuff. So let's see what y'all think. Now we're going to talk about the Chupacabra. Yeah, the Chupacabra. Look at this ugly looking son gun. It's described as a reptilian creature with spines along his back. The Chupacabra is a legendary creature of the American Southwest. It's known for attacking livestock and drinking their blood. Few cryptids are as storied and as fearsome as dreaded Chupacabra. They said allegedly it's the size of a small bear, sometimes with a tail, often covered in scaly skin, with a row of spines across its back. The Chupacabra has been a staple in folklore throughout Mexico, Puerto Rico, and the southwest United States for decades. Named after the first animals they were reported to have killed and drained their blood, the Chupacabra literally means goat sucker in Spanish. Huh, I never knew that. Even I learned something today. The bloodthirsty creature supposedly moved on to chickens, sheep, rabbits, cats, dogs, and anything else he can get his hands on. Said hundreds of farm animals were ending up dead and bloodless, and people had no idea why. He said as soon as the word of the Puerto Rican farm animals broke, farmers in other countries began complaining of their own attacks. Animals in Mexico, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, and the United States were all dying similarly gruesome deaths, seemingly with no explanation. It said before long, word of the Chupacabra reached Benjamin Radford, American writer and general skeptic of Chupacabra. Tall tales. Over the next 5 years, Radford would make it his life's work to either track down a living specimen or debunk the legend of the Chupacabra once and for all. Said his years-long journey took him through forest and farmland across South America and the southwestern United States until he finally found what he was looking for. Someone who had actually seen a Chupacabra up close and personal. Her name was Madeline Tolentino, and she'd seen a Chupacabra through the window of her home and Canovanas, a town east of San Juan, in 1995. Said a bipedal creature with black eyes, means it stands on its back 2 feet. If you didn't know what bipedal means, said the Chupacabra was responsible for animal attacks and that were becoming so commonplace in the country. She said it hopped like a kangaroo and reeked of sulfur. Like it coming from the pit of hell right there if it reeked of sulfur. Other people that Radford tracked down who claimed to have seen the Chupacabra themselves collaborated with her description, though some insisted the animal walked on 4 legs instead of 2. Some said it had a tail, while others disagree. But for years, his investigation went nowhere. He said, of course, I was skeptical of the creature's existence. He told the BBC, at the same time, I was mindful that new islands have yet to be discovered. I didn't want to just debunk or dismiss it. If the Chupacabra is real, I want to find it. Said the legend of the Chupacabra has spread far and wide, leading to many varied interpretations of its appearance. And said soon other versions of the Chupacabra, either distant relative or evolution, began to merge. Said this one here is much easier to believe. In place of the reptilian scales covering the body, the new Chupacabra has smooth, hairless skin. It walked on 4 legs and definitely had a tail. It almost looked like a dog. For years, the Chupacabras were only the stuff of folklore and internet conspiracy theories, then came to bodies. In the early 2000s in Texas and elsewhere in the southwestern United States, people started finding dead bodies resembling the Chupacabra's description. Hairless, 4-legged creatures with burnt-looking skin. It's about a dozen of them turned up since then. A 2010 WLKY news report on a Kentucky farmer's encounter with a Chupacabra. Farmers and ranchers called the authorities having no idea what these creatures could have been, but it turns out the answer was pretty simple. They said mostly they were dogs and coyotes. The reason these animals got identified as Chupacabras is because they lost their hair owing to the sarcoptic mange, a highly contagious skin disease fairly common in dogs, forces suffering to itch away its mites burrowing under the skin. The skin ultimately loses hair and becomes abnormally thick, and the itching produces nasty-looking scabs. In 1996, a Puerto Rican man told the New York Times after he lost 5 of his sheep. He said dogs had never attacked his animals. He may have been mistaken. According to the BBC, it's not uncommon for a dog to bite another animal and then leave it to die with no apparent injury beside the original bite marks. Though, thinking on my own, some of the attacks from the Chupacabra, there were no, if I remember right, there was no bite marks and stuff. Like the blood was just gone, kind of like skinwalker stuff. But I digress. We'll get to some skinwalkers too soon. Little food for thought. Not today, but we'll get to some food. We'll get to them soon. So it says, on this report here I'm reading, so why has the Chupacabra legend stuck? It said Redford thinks it could have been something to do with the anti-U.S. settlement in Puerto Rico. There's talk on the island on how the U.S. government conducts top secret scientific experiments in the rainforest. And to some Puerto Ricans who already feel exploited by the Americans, it is too much of a stretch to think the U.S. could have created a blood-sucking creature in the lab and allowed them to wreak havoc on local farmland. And what else about it? What about the other sightings that don't remotely look like a description of a mangy dog? In 1995, the same year, Tolentino claimed to have seen a Chupacabra. Hollywood released a sci-fi horror film series which featured a Canadian model as an alien-human hybrid. The film was partially filmed in Puerto Rico, and Tolentino had it's all there. She sees the movie, then later she sees something she mistakes for a monster, Radford said. And thanks to the newly popular internet, the legend spreads like wildfire. That's Radford's big debunking right there. Well, she just seen it because of the movie. I don't know. You know, that's it. That sounds like the easy way out. It really does. It really, really does. Yeah, that's easy. She saw a movie, had a creature look like that. Yeah, that's it. Done. Yeah. If life was just that easy, you know. But what do you think about the Chupacabra? Think those are real? Um, are there hellhounds from the pit below? You know, smelling like sulfur, as some say. It and kind of makes you wonder, or is it something else? You know, or is it just more people talk about something and they're like, yeah, I seen something like that. Uh, possibilities. We know one thing's for sure: animals were getting killed because they seen the death, what was killing them, and it's bad to the Puerto Rican people just thinking so highly of the government to think they're going to unleash a monster on the island, which it wouldn't surprise me either, to be honest. But another West Virginia story about another cryptid, the Flatwoods Monster. West Virginia residents reported seeing the monster while investigating what looked like a UFO crash. So local authorities scoured the scene, but they found nothing and reportedly laughed off the reports as hysteria. One clear evening in 1952 in September, say 92, several boys in Flatwoods, West Virginia, spotted a strange object straight through the sky. It appeared to land in a nearby field, so they headed over to investigate and probably came across a 10-foot tall creature that's since become known as the Flatwoods Monster. The mother of the two boys, Kathleen May, and a teenage National Guardsman, Gene Lemon, were two members of the group who claimed to have seen the monster. They went on to give interviews to reporters and even shared their encounters on national television, spreading the story of the Flatwood Monster across the country. Local police found no evidence to back up their claims, and after investigation by the U.S. Air Force concluded that there was nothing paranormal about what they had seen, but the 7 witnesses remained adamant what had happened. That September night was anything but ordinary. There have been no reported sightings of the Flatwood Monster since 1952, but the mysterious cryptid continues to draw visitors to rural Braxton County, West Virginia to this day. On September 12, 1952, a group of boys was playing in their schoolyard in the tiny town of Flatwoods, West Virginia. One of them suddenly gave a shout that turned all the children's attention to the sky above. According to history, they saw a pulsing red light that streaked through the air and crashed on the local farm. Two of the boys, 13-year-old Ed May and his 12-year-old brother Freddie, ran home with their friends to tell their mother, Kathleen, what they had seen. Mrs. May and the 5 young boys were joined by a 17-year-old National Guardsman named Gene Lemon and the May's family dog as they trekked to the farm to investigate. As they approached the wooded area near an open field, they noticed an odd mist. Lemon then thought that he spotted a pair of glowing eyes in the trees, and suddenly a Frankenstein-like monster emerged directly in front of them. Then Lemon later described the creature as a 10-foot monster with a blood-red body and a green face that seemed to glow. His head was shaped like a spade. It had clawed hands, and it seemed to be wearing a dark metal dress. The group immediately turned and fled. A local high schooler later recalled that he'd heard about the incident. One of the boys peed his pants. The dog ran with his tail between his legs. The dog seen something. It wasn't good. Said when investigators went to the farm to corroborate what Mrs. May and the 6 boys had seen, they found nothing amiss. A local newspaper wrote at the time that the state police laughed off the reports in hysteria. However, the September 12th sighting wasn't the only recorded incident regarding the Flatwoods Monster. According to the official website for Braxton County, West Virginia, multiple other residents had encounters with similar unexplainable beings from the same time. Several days before the event in Flatwoods, a woman named Audra Harper, who lived 5 miles north of Flatwoods, said she was walking through the woods with her friends when they saw a ball of fire on a hill and thought nothing of it. The seeming farmer was simply burning something in his field. However, when Harper glanced back, she saw the dark silhouette of an eerie, tall man emerging from the spot where the flames had just been blazing. Then on September 13th, a young couple was driving on a rural route 20 miles south of Flatwoods when their car broke down. George and Edith Snitsky were with their 18-month-old son, were desperate to get their vehicle back on the road as darkness fell. Suddenly, they smelled sulfur and a bright light filled the sky. When they looked up, there was a 10-foot tall monster hovering in front of them. It had claw hands and a reptilian head. The creature touched their car before drifting into the nearby woods. The vehicle suddenly started again. Oh, hell, he was a nice little monster. He started the car. However, these incidents didn't get nearly as much attention as the sighting from Mrs. May and the 6 boys. Their stories quickly spread, and the Flatwoods Monster was soon making headlines across the country. Though local police almost immediately dismissed the story of the Flatwoods Monster as hysteria, others weren't so sure. One newspaper publisher who spoke with Mrs. May and the boys immediately after the incident said these people were the most scared people I've ever seen. People don't make up that kind of story that quickly. It says Mrs. May and Gene Lemon were invited to New York to speak about their experience on CBS, and news of the monster soon spread so far that even the U.S. Air Force got involved. Their conclusion, however, was similar to the local police. The Air Force determined that the streak the boys had seen in the sky was a meteor, which also had been spotted 300 miles away in Baltimore at the same time. As for the clawed monster with glowing eyes, it was simply an owl, investigators said. It's so simple. The mystery of the Flatwoods Monster endures to this day. Roadside America reports that the tiny West Virginia town has embraced the legend. There's even a museum dedicated to the cryptid that attracts believers of the paranormal from far and wide. We may never know the truth about the Flatwoods Monster, but the legend will continue to live on. Forever and ever and ever. That's crazy. You hear on these cryptids, those stories, you hear people, they're so quick to dismiss, like, whatever, no big deal. No big deal. It's okay. No big deal. Things that make you wonder. Things that make you go, So what do you think about the Flatwoods Monster? And do you think it was real? Or did the boys and the lady really seen that and all the other, and then also, back to what we've done already. And what do y'all think about the Mothman and Chupacabra? Now this one here with the Flatwoods Monster. 3 different cryptids. 2 in West Virginia was kind of interesting. 2 both said something about sulfur. Was interesting to me too. Kind of tied them together, like each one had like a little link to the other one. Kind of 2 of them was West Virginia. 2 of them was talking about they could smell sulfur. Oh, see, put in the comments what you think. Hope y'all like this kind of format. I'm just trying different things and trying to make sure I put a full video together and full podcast. If I can put like smaller stories together and put it all in one instead of having it all just one story. Just trying, experimenting. So let me know what you think. I appreciate y'all listening, and make sure you like and share and check me out on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUPD, Digital Broadcasting. There's a bunch of amazing shows on there. All your favorite platforms, you can catch me on that. And please, like I said, like and share. I appreciate you listening. As always, y'all keep on keeping on, and peace and chicken grease. Y'all be good.